Since the age of 18, my family had abandoned me, and I never anticipated encountering them again. Yet, destiny works in mysterious ways. At an elaborate wedding, I found myself face to face with those who deemed me a burden. Their disdain for me was evident the instant they laid eyes on me. My mother scoffed, questioning my presence. "What is that useless girl doing here?" My sister, arms crossed and lips curled, remarked dismissively, "You're not on the guest list." Just as her fiancé prepared to dismiss me, his expression shifted dramatically. "Wait," he stammered. "This woman is—" I replied with a measured smile. "Do you really not know anything? I'm Evelyn Moore, and despite being at a wedding I seemingly don't belong to, fate brought me to this unlikely moment at 32 years old. For those who abandoned me 14 years ago, I'm perceived as the same helpless girl. They expect me to be humiliated or beg for acceptance. But I'm not that Evelyn they left behind. They are unaware of my journey and growth. As they judge and criticize, unknowingly, the woman they insulted is poised to upend their ideal world. The grand ballroom exudes opulence, with golden reflections from chandeliers illuminating silk-covered tables, polished silverware, and soft candlelight. This space of affluence seems unsuited for the forgotten like me, yet here I stand. The past remains dormant for them, as though I ceased to exist the day they expelled me. In my elegant black dress and coiffed hair, I stand assured, addressing the shocked onlookers. My mother, ever stoic, tightens her grip on her champagne flute. My father ignores me, save for a telling twitch in his jaw. My sister, Elle, the cherished one, looks at me with irritation, perceiving my presence as a blemish. "You're not supposed to be here," she asserts loudly, drawing glances from nearby guests. "Who invited you?" she demands. Unperturbed, I respond, "That's funny," and mention a supposed invitation. Ron, Elle's fiancé, who had been silent, advances, trying to recall my identity. His expression goes pale with realization. "Wait, this woman is—" Calmly, I step forward, my heels clicking on the marble, and respond, "Do you really not know anything?" I observe his reaction as the wedding's perfect facade begins to crumble. 14 years ago remains vivid, kicked out coldly on a frigid night, my father emotionless, my mother devoid of affection, and Elle's face smug. "You're a burden," my mother declared. "We've done enough," my father interrupted, and just like that, I was on my own. In the present, watching them at the wedding, their unease is unmistakable. My presence unsettles my family, who no longer recognize the woman they cast away. Suddenly, a voice interrupts. In a navy suit, Adam, my husband, approaches, his supportive hand resting on my back, affirming I'm not alone. "Is there a problem here?" Adam inquires politely, but firmly. Elle retorts, "Who are you?" To which Adam calmly replies, "Evelyn's husband." The silence is deafening, and the startled reactions speak volumes. Elle's fingers twitch. My mother catches her breath in astonishment. The scene shifts as their eyes reflect panic, as they now face the woman sculpted by their rejection, unanticipated and undeniably strong. Inside the wedding hall, my mother surveys me with her trademark coldness, dissecting every inch for anything out of place. Elle's smirk suggests she thinks I've stumbled into success by pure chance. Ron, however, becomes a ghost at my presence, his fear and guilt evident. I've seen those emotions before. Many years ago, they thought I vanished like an unheeded whisper. I remained unseen, yet observing, unheard, yet absorbing. I bided my time, built my empire. It is only the start. Survival demands cunning, not mere strength. Tossed out 14 years ago with $17.28 to my name, I refused to just vanish. Those first nights, I found solace beside a diner's dumpsters, the heat vent keeping the chill at bay. Caught, yet given a chance to work rather than be punished. As months turned to years, I worked ferociously to an extent they couldn't foresee. He smirks alongside me, my husband Adam, aware of the chaos potentially coming. "Oh yes, I'm ready." Elle makes light of my accomplishments, clinging to her perceived superiority. She's unaware I kept tabs on her fall from grace at medical school, a downfall she hides. The pretense can't shield forever. I display the proof, causing disbelief and anger. My mother intervenes, dismissing me as spiteful, blind to their false world crumbling. Shall we discuss the impending charges against Moore Family Clinic? I counter, my grin unwavering. Her assertion that I'm wrecking Elle's day ironically falls flat. My patience was tactical, my return inevitable. In their silence, my vindication echoes. Elle stands frozen in disbelief, her meticulously constructed facade fracturing under my words' pressure. My mother, more irritated by my presence than the truth unraveling, curls her lips in disdain. My father's voice softens as he questions, "What are you saying?" while Ron's pale face indicates the gravity of the situation. With a deliberate shake of my head, I feign disappointment. "Oh, you didn't think I knew?" I say, leaning closer, my voice barely a whisper for my father's ears. "You should have taken better precautions, Dad. Embezzlement, insurance fraud, falsifying patient records, every detail you thought you had hidden would never haunt you." As I speak, I reflect on the years spent gathering these pieces of evidence, not out of spite but under some guidance. When ignored, underestimated, and discarded long enough, one learns patience. I took my time, sharpening my weapons quietly, ready to turn their world to ashes. Tonight, unaware, they face the reckoning I herald. The room hangs with thick tension. Ron, speechless, shifts his gaze between me and the document, understanding the truth of my revelations. Suddenly, Elle straightens, her laughter echoes. Not the laughter of exposure, but mocking disbelief. "Oh my God," she whispers incredulously. "This is actually hilarious." My stomach contracts, not from fear, for I've transcended that, but in recognition of her manipulative ploy, denial followed by gaslighting, mastering her distortion of reality. Her smirk says it all. "Ruining my wedding over this? Really, Evelyn?" She gestures dismissively at the document, treating it as garbage. Such a pathetic attempt to stay relevant. Her caustic words mirror a painful past, evoking memories of whispered dismissals. Pathetic, a ghost that no longer haunts me. I confront her bravely, hinting at her nervousness. Ron's grasp tightens on the paper, his face a canvas of doubt and tension, framed by furrowed brows. "Is it true?" Ron's controlled question hangs as Elle redirects her ploy, hand softening on his arm with a calculated plea. "She's always exaggerating," Elle insists, steeped in innocence. Yet Ron's clenched jaw betrays his struggle. The seeds of doubt have taken root. Meanwhile, my father commands authority, demanding the end of this nonsense. Yet I breathe, slow and steady, asking him if he wishes to renounce reality. His derision is palpable. "Do what?" he retorts as I tilt my head slightly, observing the tension building in his jawline. "Let me assure you, if we embark on this path, you won't be pleased with the outcome." Elle gives a mocking laugh. "Please spare me. You've got nothing against us." I chuckle sincerely. "You're right," I shrug. "I only possess, let's say, a solid 14 years of evidence." Silence envelopes the room as Elle's expression contorts with disbelief. "What?" I let my eyes wander casually around the space. "Did you honestly believe I left with nothing?" I ponder aloud. Gone without leaving a mark. From my clutch, I retrieve a sleek, black USB drive. "What you need to understand, Elle," I say, fiddling with the device, "is that while you were busy playing the ideal daughter and our parents acted as though I didn't exist, I was gathering information." I lift the USB slightly. Bank records. Elle's breath hitches. Email correspondences. My father's posture stiffens. Legal documents linking your family clinic to numerous insurance fraud charges. My mother gasps audibly. I smile gently. Shall I continue? The room's atmosphere shifts drastically. This is the turning point when the prey realizes the predator had been lurking all along. Elle's previous bravado wavers. The confidence in my father falters, while my mother, for the first time since I entered, shows fear. The realization sets in. They thought they had won. But staring into the face of someone they believed defeated, they understand the reality. I didn't just return to remind them of their wrongdoings. I came to end it all. An oppressive silence fills the room. Elle stands rigid, her hands clenching to the point where her knuckles whiten. My father, typically the embodiment of authority, suddenly appears diminished. My mother, always composed and superior, lost all her composure. I can almost hear their minds frantically searching for an escape, but there's none. Because this is a trap I meticulously set. And now I'm ready to spring it. Elle forces a hollow laugh. She says, shaking her head, "This is ridiculous. You're bluffing, with nothing on us." I tilt my head, continuing to twirl the USB drive. Are you truly willing to risk your entire future on that assumption? Ron, who had been silent until this moment, snatches the USB from my grip. His movements are frantic, as though merely holding it could erase its contents. "What the hell is this?" he demands, glaring at Elle. "Don't believe her." Elle stammers, "She's lying. She's always been envious of me, Ron. She just aims to ruin our wedding." I cross my arms, watching as the scene unfolds as if savoring the climax of a well-executed drama. "Go ahead," I nod coolly towards the drive in his hand. "See for yourself." He hesitates because he already knows Elle has deceived him. But now he has the evidence. His face hardens, and without another word, he approaches the DJ booth, retrieving his laptop from behind the setup. "Stop," Elle cries out, lunging forward, but it's too late. The screen lights up as Ron inserts the drive, his gaze darting back and forth, reading, then freezing. The color drains from his face, his jaw locks in realization. Elle fractures in real time. "Ron," she pleads, her voice trembling, "whatever she's shown you isn't true. You deceived me." His voice is cold and final. Elle flinches. "No, I didn't lie to you." His voice erupts loudly enough for everyone to hear, causing the entire ballroom to fall silent. The guests, who were whispering and pretending not to overhear, now openly stare. Elle, desperate, grasps his arm. "Ron, please." He jerks away as if her touch is repulsive. His breath grows uneven, his shoulders heaving as he scrolls through fraudulent documents, insurance scams, undeniable proof that Elle never graduated medical school. My father steps forward, panic creeping into his eyes. "Ron, listen, shut up." For once, my father, the arrogant patriarch, falls silent. Ron stands there, his whole body trembling with rage, fists clenched as he glares at Elle, then our parents. "You played me," he mutters. "All of you played me." My mother lifts her chin defiantly. "Ron, dear," she tries, "you're overreacting. You and Elle are meant to be." Meant to be. He chuckles, devoid of humor, a laugh from a man who's learned he's been duped. "I was ready to marry you," he cedes at Elle. "I defended you, trusted you, and you turned out to be just a spoiled phony." As Elle breaks into sobs, it's too late. The damage is done. "You're not a doctor," Ron spits with venom. "You're nothing." And with that, he rips the wedding band from his finger and throws it at her feet. The room erupts. Guests gasp in scandal. Whispers ripple through the gathering as Ron strides towards the exit, his future shattered in a moment. Elle falls to her knees, her designer gown pooling around her, trembling. But it's not just the wedding unraveling, it's everything. Because Ron wasn't the only one observing. The USB drive is merely one part of the equation. I look to an older gentleman standing towards the back, impeccably dressed. The hospital board chairman, here to witness the aftermath. As I casually mention, one of your so-called medical experts, Dr. Peterson, is actually a high school dropout with no credentials. Every guest turns to Peter, finally connecting the dots. He visibly tenses. The murmur spreads through the crowd like wildfire. Red-faced and glaring at my father, Dr. Peterson says, "You told me she had her degree." My father, now drenched in sweat, stutters. "We can fix this." "It's not. Not what?" I interject, moving closer to Stefan. "Not a fraud? Not a felony." Dr. Peterson mutters something under his breath. I trusted you more than that. You said she was your daughter. Suddenly, my father shouts, "She's not my daughter. She's nothing to me now." The entire ballroom goes silent, and even I am taken aback. I grin because he's just made a crucial mistake. I suspected as much. I say smoothly, and I have to point out something intriguing. You've been using my identity for tax fraud for a decade. The silence is deafening. My father pales, my mother stiffens. I deliver the final blow. That's right. I recently discovered someone using my social security number for fraudulent tax returns, laundering money through our family-run clinic. The hospital director orders his assistant to contact the legal department. Before my father can speak, I cut in. Just to let you know, I add casually, the IRS has already been informed. My father's face crumbles. Chaos erupts as the room descends into pandemonium. Security steps forward. My father tries to speak, but Dr. Peterson interrupts. Your career is done. Elle wails on the floor, her makeup smudged. My mother stands rigidly, silent, understanding there's no return from this. As for me, I just stand and watch because this is what they deserve. It's justice, and I've never felt more powerful. The ballroom is chaotic with whispers, gasps, and fear. Security moves in, and guests distance themselves from my parents as if fraud were contagious. Elle continues to sob, her mascara a mess, while Ron, her once devoted fiancé, storms out, leaving trust behind in tatters. I should walk away, satisfied, but I remain, as this is the moment I dreamed of, standing before them, not as the forsaken child, but as the woman they never envisioned. Watching their world disintegrate, I savor the moment, finally severing any remaining threads connecting us.